What's the excuse that everybody that we saw on Sunday night was in a non-wrestling role tonight? Is there injuries that haven't been reported by Sapp and Fightful? I mean, I don't believe we got a card. I'm gonna read the match card to you because I could not believe my eyes when I seen this match card 15 minutes before the show. MJF, Tony Storm, and Will Ospreay were all in the building, did not wrestle. They all had promos or in-ring segments, interviews. Willow versus Penelope Ford was the sole women's match of the night. Who cares? Then we got Hologram and Will Hobbs. I don't know what the fuck Will Hobbs has to do with Hologram, but Will Hobbs teamed with Hologram against Brian Cage and Dralistico. Brian Cage of the Don Callis family, who, by the way, wasn't even out there with Brian Cage. He teamed with Dralistico for whatever fucking reason. I don't know what type of match this was, but this was a tag team match for whatever reason. We got the Beast Mortos versus a wild card who ended up being Mike Bailey, Speedball Mike Bailey. And then Orange Cassidy main evented with Hechicero. This is a tournament, by the way. We're getting 4 matches, and then we're getting a fatal 4-way next week for the right to wrestle Kenny Omega at Dynasty for the International Championship. I don't believe these names and these graphics were put on a poster and a flyer digitally for people to get excited about for AEW Dynamite tonight. The television show is the most important thing that you have. It is the most important IP that AEW and Tony Khan possess. If you do not generate interest for your most precious IP, which is your A show, AEW Dynamite, how are you going to expect people to buy the pay-per-view and generate interest on a week-to-week basis? Whatever happens on Dynamite should be nurtured and cared for as if it's the most important thing that you do every 7 days. I say this every single week, and people look at me like I got fucking 6 heads. Every single thing you do, everything that you find to be the most important should be filtered through Dynamite. Everything that you want to be the biggest of deals, Dynamite is the place for that to happen. If you do not book the show on a weekly basis every Wednesday with the fucking grace and dignity that it deserves, the A show that it deserves to be, how do you expect the ratings to go up? How do you expect the demo to go up? How do you expect the week-to-week interest to go up? Don't you want more pay-per-view buys? If the television shows were telling proper fucking episodic stories that people legitimately gave a shit about, your pay-per-view buys would be fucking increased another 25 to 30% because we tune in for everything and the story. We got nothing. They want to hide behind the fucking dream match aspect that is painfully fucking boring. You've done that year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, now year 5. Your dream matches are running out, bro. Your dream matches are not dream matches anymore. I don't care to see Beast Mortos versus Speedball Mike Bailey, which I predicted back in November, by the way, before Mike Speedball Bailey even fucking signed with AEW. Joked on Twitter. When is he showing up? And how soon before we get the Beast Mortos on AEW Collision? Lo and behold, it's basically what you got tonight, minus Collision.
Nope, bullshit. You're wrong. It wasn't Collision. Nope.
This show was booked as if it was Collision.
Okay.
So I was as close as close could be. But you get my point. Dynamite should be booked with the importance that it deserves. I don't understand how you go into this show and then present this to us, and then you want to go on social media and say, oh, AEW's been on a great string of shows lately. No, you haven't. Whatever the fucking string of shows that you thought were great, stop dead cold tonight. This show was a fucking complete and utter embarrassment to a point where I had people in my DM saying, JD, I can't watch this shit anymore. I'm just going to watch you, or I am done watching AEW, and I'll come back when it's actually good again. Folks, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but AEW is not going to be good for a very long time, and AEW is not going to be good until Tony Khan removes himself from the equation, because that is actively what's killing the fucking company. This show is not where it's supposed to be, and it's thanks to him. I'm sorry. I would love for somebody. I would love for somebody to prove me wrong and tell me that I'm wrong. You can't. You can't.
It's not in a good place right now, man. And we had a good string of a few weeks where we had decent television, which is all we asked for. We didn't get knock out of the park, home run, great fucking TV in that stretch. We got decent TV. And that's all we wanted. And I was also careful to make sure I didn't let that new standard lower the bar for me. Like, this is great. No, it didn't say it was great. It was entertaining. It flowed well. It made sense. It was not egregious. It was great. I mean, it was great in that regard. Could it have been better? Yes. And we pointed out all the things that would have made it a great show. But it was fine. They could have stuck with that level of TV and it would have been fine. But it is dipped all around both shows. It's noticeable, and you can't argue with it, man. And I'm not here to argue and say, no, it wasn't bad. It was great. Even if you had a couple of good parts here and there, you went back to a string of bad shows, which is, I mean, again, if you want to improve the ticket sales, you want to improve the ratings, you can't give us 1 to 2 good shows a month. That's not going to cut it. We need consistent good shows with good story. I'm not even going to say give us good wrestling because the talent already gives us good wrestling when that bell rings. What creative needs to do is give the talent a story to tell that the fans can sink their teeth into, go home and talk about, be proud to talk about with their friends and not be embarrassed to talk about some masked luchador party. That is not going to bring new viewers to the table. I don't think Tony Khan realizes that most of the wrestling community is not as big of a luchador wrestling fan as he is. None of these luchadors are connecting with the audience on a personal level. They're just great athletes who do great spots, man. I mean, I'm not going to take away from what they can actually do in the ring. It's great. They are better than most. They are above average. The luchadors are fantastic at what they do, man. But that is not compelling television.
No, it's not. It's not compelling television. And I heard, I was live with Jason last night for TNT, and we heard, and I watched it this morning while I was having my cup of coffee and my scrambled eggs this morning. You know, this company is being beaten out by WWE's developmental system. Because that's exactly what NXT is. It's their developmental system. NXT put on a show like they did last night at Madison Square Garden, the theater at Madison Square Garden. And they put on a great show last night. They basically put on a PLE on the CW network. And then Tony Khan comes around and delivers this. You know, this is the second biggest pro wrestling company in the entire United States. You are number 2 behind WWE. You were never going to be number 1. You set out and you achieved the dream with always that dream ending at number 2. I'm sorry to tell you. You're not where the best wrestle. You are not the best pro wrestling company in the world. You are not. You are a distant number 2 to WWE. And for anybody that wants to say JD's being paid by Paul Levesque, JD hates AEW, he's a WWE dick rider, and whatever the case may be, I shit on Monday Night Raw from Madison Square Garden. A main event of CM Punk and Seth Rollins barely saved the show from being a complete shit show disaster on Monday night. So you can't sit there and say that I'm not fair. I did not like Monday Night Raw, and people looked at me like, how could you not like Monday Night Raw? It was at MSG with 18,000 people. I'm going to need more than fucking heat, okay? I'm getting to a point where I'm just fucking fed up with everybody because there's so little effort going into everything. So you can't sit there and say that JD is a shill for one company over the other. You can't do that. But don't you think that Tony Khan should look at the fact that NXT is outdrawing his number 2 promotion by a clear 250,000 viewers every single week? You don't think Tony thinks that the demo is piss poor? He's never going to say it is. NXT's demo was, I think, 0.15 last night. AEW is around that same benchmark. A demo, by the way, that was in the 0.3 to 0.35 rating just a few years ago. What happened? Where did they fall off? Why did they fall off? Where did all the 18 to 49s go? Nobody's watching the fucking show because you are putting this garbage, hologram, Beast Mortos, Hechicero, fucking Dralistico on television. I mean, people want to be engaged. They don't want to watch 20-minute pro wrestling exhibitions every fucking week that have absolutely zero meaning. Every single meme I come across is Tony Khan playing with his fucking toys. You don't think he sees that and wants to do better? I know he doesn't. If I was him, I would want to put an end to that. Stop playing with your fucking toys and stop having it come off that way, because that's exactly what it is. And hire someone that's going to write your show to tell episodic fucking stories. I don't understand how they welcome all this because of their ignorance. They welcome all this hatred because of their refusal to change. They welcome all this because they want to be right, and they think they're right, and they're fucking dead wrong. In every aspect, they're dead wrong. Every single week, we come on here and we give fair and honest and balanced criticism. Tony Khan was in my mentions back in December, and he claimed that I had it wrong because I called out how fans are stupid for believing in Daniel Garcia. Where is Daniel Garcia? You don't think Tony Khan should be booking Daniel Garcia to be better off? Instead, he's proven me right. I mean, this is a company that goes to defend everything negatively said about them and does nothing to change. What is it going to take? What does it have to take to change what is going on here? And then he goes on the post-show media scrum, Jesse. I don't even know if you've seen it. He said that he's been more in the driver's seat creatively, and everything that you're seeing is him. Do you want to know why that was said? Do you want to know why Tony Khan now publicly in front of the media, quote unquote, if you even want to call them that, said that he's now more involved creatively? It's because everybody has been saying AEW's been on a great string of shows, and he's even touted that on social media. When everything is great, Tony will stop at nothing to make sure he is involved, and his name is at the tippity top of why AEW is succeeding. If anybody else was there writing the shows and they were coming off great, Tony's never going to allow that person or that group of people to fucking have their sunshine, because it's not him. Now I want to see if he says anything remotely close to him being in the fucking weeds tonight after this show. You won't hear a fucking peep from him. Thank you for watching AEW. Thank you for watching AEW Dynamite on TBS and Max. We'll see you guys next week. It's going to be a great build to to Dynasty. That's it.
No.
That is a problem. I don't know how you people don't see that. If he is in charge, he's always been in charge. What does he think, we're fucking stupid? It ends and dies with him. Now he wants to be involved because everybody says the last 5 weeks or so have been pretty good, and they're back on track, and that feeling is being restored. Now the feeling is in the fucking grave tonight. Where's Tony now as far as booking the show? You won't hear a fucking word from him.
Maybe there's a way to get some goodwill amongst the hardcores, the internet fans, and the podcasters. Because let's be honest, let's be fair. Podcasters can sway the opinion of a company through a vast majority of wrestling fans online. It's possible they can. So what if we had a little bit of transparency in regard of, how about we let everyone know that who is behind what creatively? You remember WWE used to, I'm not sure if they still do, but they'll release what producers did what matches at pay-per-views and things like that. You know what I'm saying? And we got to see like, who did what, and then we could look back and say, ooh, that was a good match.
They do that. Fightful releases that information every week.
They do
for WWE. Yeah, you don't see that. You don't see them doing that for AEW.
No, maybe it would be kind of cool to to be like, oh hey, this storyline is being run by TK. This storyline is being run by. I mean, maybe it's embarrassing because they have talent, booking the show. And I'm telling you right now, history has taught us that talent with creative control never works out. Never. I can't think of a single talent that we known to have full creative control and it didn't end in a complete clusterfuck. Maybe Bryan Danielson. As far as I know, he is a genuine person, a wrestling fan, and he's not out to hit himself over in every fucking situation. I could be wrong on that one. But outside of that, man, you look at Hogan, you look at Nash, you look at the NWO days, and you now look at Mox, and then you look at Cope and everything like that. From what we're understanding, you look at Mercedes. I mean, I'm sorry, I know you working with her this weekend, but the perception is that these people have creative control. And the perception is all of these characters suck right now creatively. That cannot be a coincidence.
Why do you think Mercedes is working with Billy Starks? Why do you think Mercedes is working with 22-year-old Billy Starks? Out of everybody on that roster, Billy Starks hasn't made one fucking appearance on AEW Dynamite in the ring. Not one. Why is Mercedes working with somebody like Billy Starks? Because she knows she can beat Billy Starks, and she knows Billy Starks is not going to say anything to Mercedes because she's just there to be grateful for the opportunity to be in the ring with Mercedes. That's it. Nobody wants to work with Mercedes because of that creative control. Nobody wants to work with Copeland because of that creative control. Nobody wants to work with Moxley because of that creative control. They've put nobody over at all since they've arrived. And you think people are dumb enough to fucking just, they're great. Everybody on that fucking roster knows it. Everybody in the fan base refuses to see it. That's why.
I was hoping that she heard like everybody talking about how she's not putting anybody over, and maybe she's gonna work with someone like a Billy Starks who wouldn't have necessarily been on anything television related, and get her on TV and maybe get her over. Maybe.
Have we gotten a why as to Billy wants to wrestle Mercedes? Was there ever an explanation given outside of...
How did this start?
She was in the back with Momo holding a baseball bat, and I didn't even know who it was. And Billy Starks was just there, and Mercedes flipped a cup of water on her.
Yeah.
And then the next time we see her, she's at the fucking pay-per-view taking notes on Mercedes' match, more than likely taking notes on how to lose. Do I lose by a roll-up? Do I lose by the money maker? Do I lose by the bank statement? Or where the fuck her move is called? And then we see her tonight, and the match supposedly is made for next week. I mean, thanks for telling me why she's even getting a fucking title match. Has anybody given me a reason why she's there?
There is none. What was Billy Starks' relationship with Athena in ROH before she showed up here?
Like a young girl. She was there as a young girl, like a roadie.
So what if this is a segue to get Athena in here into a program with Mercedes?
To do what, Jesse?
To lose. But
we all know that, yes.
I mean, but what if this was a way for Athena to then show... Is Athena working heel or babyface?
I have no clue. I mean, I'm assuming she's working as a tweener. Maybe?
She was a heel last time I saw her.
Chad, what is Athena? Is Athena constituted as a heel? Who watches Ring of Honor, man? The fucking 3 people working over at Fightful right now fucking watching Ring of Honor. Kate from fucking Fightful watches Ring of Honor. Who is she? Is she a heel?
She was probably, I think she was heel last, but she's probably pretty much tweener to babyface because everybody recognizes
she's a heel. Cocoa Beach City Radio says she's a heel. She's a pure heel. Yeah, okay.
So she shouldn't be showing up on Wednesday nights to save Billy Starks or anybody else.
So Athena heel versus Mercedes heel. How does that end?
How does that work? So, I mean, logic tells me we should not be getting that feud then. So I guess that's not going to happen. And is Billy Starks a heel then?
I guess Billy is the babyface who is being controlled by Athena, and people are supposed to be sympathetic towards Billy Starks.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm honestly making a logical guess as to what I know.
Okay. I mean, I'm trying to figure out. I'm just trying to figure out what Starks is doing here with Mercedes. Maybe this is a transition to get to Athena, but that sounds like it makes no sense. So that means it's probably fucking happening then. Okay. Yeah.
That's great. Mercedes versus Athena. If that is the direction, who wins? Mercedes is going to win. You think Mercedes is going to fucking lose? I don't know. We talked about this for weeks now. Everybody's excited about it. Athena's from Texas. Oh, my goodness. Houston, Texas. Texas representative at All In. To do what? You think that Tony Khan has bought the services of Mercedes Varnado, bring her into the company, make her the TBS champion, and get this close now? We're coming up on 365 days, and then you got through at least 65% of that title run that Jade holds the record for at 508 days. You don't think that Tony's going to go to the fucking touchdown on that one? He's absolutely going to have Mercedes, who's got under contract for the next 3 or 4 years, beat that record because Jade is never coming back to AEW. Why does he want someone who's in WWE right now to hold his record for the Women's TBS Championship when he's got Mercedes holding that title? It doesn't make any sense. If she loses the title, I will gladly come out here and say I'm wrong. But
they're about to give her another title.
You haven't proven me wrong yet. Nothing that you've done has proved me wrong. So why am I supposed to think that this is not the case now?
They're about to give her the Owen Hart title, man.
They could give her every fucking title. It's not going to make a difference. The division still sucks. The division is still garbage. You got Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné as your two top females in the division, and your division is still garbage. Gee, I wonder why it's garbage. There's no story. You got fucking gargantuan title reigns here just swallowing up every fucking division and every talent that walks their way. Mariah May is the only star that you have born from this division. That is it. Everybody else is a waste of my time. Legitimately. And you can thank Toni Storm for that. That's how a champion's supposed to operate. That's how creative is supposed to make new stars. I don't know why that same blueprint is not followed everywhere else. Look at how big Mariah is now compared to when she first got here a year ago. 18 months ago. Yeah. She just made herself into a multi-millionaire just based off the body work that she's done in the last 18 months.